This is just me. Why there is no in between. This ain't my scene, I'll beg my leave. My face ain't clean, this is just me. Some ways I lean, escaping green. I stake my dream, not in between.
Wow, Chris, that was fancy. Did you see what he did? That's epic. Thank you so much. That's absolutely amazing. Hi guys, so I'm Nastine.
And that would make me Peter.
And we're the co-founders of Explore Protect Entrepreneurial Haven. You are watching the Coffee Shop Conversation Show for Entrepreneurs. We are here to bring you exactly 1 hour where you can connect with some of the most amazing entrepreneurs from around the world. So if you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, or Zoom, we want to welcome you and thank you for being here. Just by being here, you're giving yourself an opportunity to learn things that you wouldn't have known. Otherwise, you're experiencing things with other entrepreneurs and you have a chance to connect with them. Also, remember, if at any point in time during the show you resonate with a specific person that you see on the screen, all of their LinkedIn links are in the description below. You can literally just click and connect, make friends. These are some of the best people in the business, guys. This is it.
It sounds so simple.
It is.
I know.
And today, specifically, is a massively exciting episode, guys, because you will notice on the screen right now, like on my screen, I'm not sure where it is on your screen, but in mine, it's like in the left corner, at the bottom. Chris, can we highlight him? Stephen Westwood has been one of our founding members, sponsors, and coaches since we started this venture.
From the beginning, actually.
He's been one of the most amazing things. Like, we've worked, like, literally, we have one of those relationships where we can hop on a call and say, like, Stephen, are you busy? He's like, yeah, I'm working. You? I'm like, okay, cool. Let's grab a glass of wine and get online and we can work together. It's like one of those relationships. It's so amazing. And, yeah, Stephen, you got too successful and you've gotten too busy. But guys, so today, back by popular demand, we have the one and only Mr. Westwood joining us for this epic conversation. So we're so happy to have you back here, Stephen. Say hi to the people.
Hi, people.
Okay, cool.
Royal wave.
Other than that, we have some of the most epic, incredible, amazing entrepreneurs from around the world. We've twisted their arms personally. Hey, Peter. Not you, Peter. Other Peter. To be here today, because today we're talking about something that me and Peter have no clue about.
Yeah, really.
Which is why we needed a lot of backup, right? So that's the people on the screen. Okay, so they are going to tell us how is the Ukrainian-Russian conflict
Clever,
hey, impacting entrepreneurs around the world. Okay, guys, so I know a little bit about it. I know some of you have clients that are in industries that have been affected. I know natural gas prices are shooting through the roof. Wheat is getting scarcer. I know the Ukraine is struggling to have bread. Inflation, I think someone said it's like it's gone up like a lot.
A lot. we don't know what a lot is, but a lot seems like quite a lot.
Like 3 times or 300% or something. Don't worry, we have attorneys and accountants on the call, okay? So they'll correct us.
Just a side note of the discussion that we're having. Yes, this is about the impact. We're not interested in discussing politics. So if you're in the audience and you're looking to make political statements in the comments, please refrain from doing so.
This is about the economic impact. And talking about how we can still make it a better place for all of us. How do we even deal with this? Okay, so there's also been some sanctions imposed. There's some economic warfare is what they're calling it going on. So guys, I want to hear from you. Hearts up on the screen right now if you have something to say about the impact of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict on entrepreneurs around the world. How are we even supposed to be dealing with this and what is going on?
Awesome. Mr. Colby.
Let's just put our producer up first because everyone else is too scared to answer except for Mr. Westwood. Chris, go for it.
So how do you know your country imports a lot of stuff from another country you don't know much about? Well, let there be a special military operation happen in that country, let's call it that. I mean, here in South Africa, all of our cooking oil has been affected. It was funny because I've just come out of COVID and I went to the shops the other day, this weekend for the first time, and all I could hear is people walking. I kid you not, I heard 3 people on their cell phones or mobile phones, depending on where you are in the world, going, oh my gosh, I can't believe 2 liters of cooking oil is now 84 rand, which is sort of the price has doubled just for 2 liters. I've lost my biggest client who imports cooking oil from the Ukraine to sell. I mean, these poor guys have just come out of COVID, where our hospitality industry and restaurants, which is their biggest client, you know, we worked really hard to make them push through that. And then this happens and the price, you just can't get cooking oil imported anymore. Wheat and oil, and we're looking at huge price increases on petrol. Oh my word, it's scary. And the inflation is just pushing through the roof. So it does have a real impact, even if you're sitting in Cape Town, South Africa, or wherever you are in the world. I think it's had an impact on everybody. Would it be nice if they'd waited at least another year or 2 for us to at least, I don't know, get a little breather between COVID and all of this stuff? You know, 2.5 years in, I skipped it and managed to get it. But hey, we're here. So the big question is well, what do we do? How do we survive and get through this? Because the reality is much like COVID, it's still going to be around for a while. I think this conflict or military position or whatever you want to call it is happening. It's going to happen for a while still. So what do? We're entrepreneurs from around the world. And I firmly believe the growth of our global economy and the recovery of our global economy comes from entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs rebuilding business and banding together and working together. The big corporates, they've got their sanctions, they'll be fine, they got their story sorted out. But at the end of the day, it boils down to us. So band together, join a network of entrepreneurs, find your fit, get your family together, the people that you can count on, and say, guys, I can't get bread, or whatever the case is. Well, I've got a good bread recipe, or whatever the case may be. Work together and generate business on a global scale. It might sound funny with a small group of people, but you have conversations with each other. Say right now there's 14 of us in this room. 14 of us can have very powerful conversations that lead to great business, great development, and great help for each other. And that is how we're going to make a huge change and get through this. I'm Chris Colby from Live to Dream, lead generation through networking.
Thank you so much, Chris. And that's so interesting to hear. I keep forgetting about the cooking oil. I don't know why. It's because I don't like cooking. But
She doesn't like it and I can't.
so we're doomed either way. The good news is, Chris, I mean, that's what we're all wondering, right? We're all wondering, like, the pandemic, we just got over the shock of the pandemic. Like, why now? And what do we do now? But the good news is we have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 freaking epic experienced business coaches on this call today. So you're welcome. So let's hear from them, shall we? Stephen Westwood, what are we supposed to do with all of this? How are we supposed to survive?
Okay, well, first of all, it's so strange hearing my name again. Thank you. Secondly, along with what Chris was saying, obviously the impact is big, even down to cooking oil, food prices, all of that. Chris has got one solution, which is a very powerful solution, which is banding together, entrepreneurs coming together, having those conversations, helping each other out. I've witnessed the same thing that I've witnessed during the 2008 recession, the same thing that I've witnessed throughout the pandemic. And that is a lot of people looking to alternative ways to make money. because at the end of the day, we all need money in order to survive, to pay all of our bills, to make sure that we have the utilities, make sure we have food, make sure we can travel. And my advice would be to make those right connections. If you're making the right connections, whether you're providing a service or whether you're providing a product, whether you need supply chain assistance, or whether you are looking to have that side hustle or looking to expand a business, it's all about people. People will help and people will get you through more difficult times. Now, like I said, the impacts of the conflict are huge. And they're going to be going on for quite a while. So it's definitely interesting times right now, especially here in the UK, where we are probably, again, I know that we did say no political discussions, but we're probably helping out a lot more than other countries currently can. So I'm interested in watching what happens in that space, basically. I hope that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Mr. Westwood. So good to have you back in the actual conversation. I also heard that Europe gets about 40% of their power.
Where did we hear it?
From Russia.
It wasn't in the chat.
From Ukraine.
Of course, 25% of our wheat comes from Ukraine.
Come on, from Russia, yeah.
Oh.
80% of our wheat comes from the Ukraine.
Yes, that's what I just read.
That's what Chris said.
Yeah.
And Natalie said that the Ukraine is a breadbasket for Europe. They supply 30% of the wheat to Europe.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you wanted to like go banting, it's probably a good time. But yeah, so I'm also thinking about the renewable energy sector. I'm wondering how that will be impacted during this time, because of the 40% reliance on the energy exported from Russia. So, I mean, that's very interesting, right? If they don't have energy, how are they going to survive? Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, Stephen, do you want to tell us?
I'm quite glad that you brought that up, because I'm currently working in that space of renewable energy and sustainability. The US, UK, Germany, and other countries like that are currently investing heavily in renewable energy sources, whether that be from solar energy, wind energy, it could be from even nuclear energy. And the whole point of it is that we become more sustainable for ourselves, not just, how do I word this? Yeah, so it's not just about getting natural resources from other countries. It is about providing an alternative that is localized to that specific nation or that specific area. The technology it has currently, throughout the pandemic, it's been developing anyway, to the point where you can download an app and that will tell you the best time to use your solar energy. You can even send any excess solar energy back into the grid by selling it and making money from it. So that space is continuing to develop at quite an alarmingly fast rate. And I think it's quite exciting, personally speaking. Even if you're looking at the infrastructure for electric vehicles, for example, they are governments literally across the US, Canada, even the UK, Germany, Italy, they are all investing really heavily in developing the infrastructure so people can utilize public charging stations as opposed to going to a petrol station. You can even charge your car from 0 to full within about 15 minutes at the moment, maybe 12 minutes, depending on the type of model. And that will get you about 600 miles to, I'm trying to work it out in kilometers.
It's far.
It's far.
Ish, right?
It's far.
Is that far?
Let me Google that. 600 miles
960 kilometers.
Thank
Oh,
you,
Renee.
Renee. And that's just off one charge. So yeah, the renewable energy from a commercial perspective and from a private home perspective is definitely the way forward for everybody at this moment in time.
Oh, I like that.
Love that. Thank you, Stephen. So there's actually opportunity there, right? That's awesome.
If you think about it, and I don't want to belittle the impact of the suffering of what people are going through. Some countries are going to be suffering massively. Both Russia and Ukraine are going to be suffering in one way or another. But at the same time, there's going to be other countries that will suffer the impact of it, and then some will suffer more and some will suffer slightly less, but the impact nonetheless is global. Now, if we look at when COVID happened, COVID forced us as human beings into a space where we needed to be flexible. We needed to change the way we did things. We needed to be change our thought processes. We needed to change the way we did business. We needed to. So at the same time, with this impact, I think as human beings, we are going to have to be flexible and create scenarios where it lessens the impact.
We can only do that when we know what the impact is.
When we know what the impact is. So,
for example, I heard McDonald's closed down like 850 of their branches that were located in Russia. So, I mean, that's massive, right? So, and then there was also, what's the other thing that was so shocking? Oh, yeah. So they put off like all the Facebook and the Instagram and the TikTok and stuff, right? But even freelancers in Russia, and this was shocking to me, got kicked off of Upwork. So, and some people are hiring freelancers in the Ukraine and just paying them to get money into the economy. Or they're booking like through Airbnb.
Airbnbs,
without actually ever going there and visiting, because who wants to visit a place where you get bombed? Just to send the money across. So I'm wondering, like, all of a sudden having that many freelancers excluded from the freelance scene, does that create opportunity? I don't know.
Well,
Can I add onto that? Actually, on the freelancers, the freelancers in the Ukraine is huge. Now, in my part of the economy, we use them quite often on Fiverr, and those guys for developers, for programmers. And the Ukraine is actually ranked 5th in the world with quality of developers and programmers. There is, let me just make sure, about 200,000 specialists in the Ukraine, of which 40% is in Kiev itself. So this has had a huge effect to get quality freelancers to help us, because we do use them from time to time. So that now creates, you're going to use, there is a large amount in India, there's large amounts in other countries, but the quality you get is not always the same. And I think to overcome that, well, what I've personally done is now I've reached out to 2 people that had some WordPress knowledge, which is also designers. And I've now taken them under my wing to try and help them to develop their skills. And so it does help in the long run. It is going to help a bit. But I think for now, it's extremely difficult. If you take just in the east of the Ukraine, where there's so much going on at the moment, there's about 30% of the people coming from the developers is from those areas. So it's definitely had a huge impact on Fiverr and those type of platforms.
That is super interesting, Renee. Thank you so much. So it's actually affecting your industry no matter where you are in the world, like quite heavily. And it messes with the supply and demand principles. Okay, well, let's move to Mr. Stephen Levy, and then we'll go to Deanne. Stephen.
Thanks, Justine. Excuse me popping in and out. I don't know, I'm not at, as you know, I'm not at home. Are you
playing with us?
I think, I think there's a lot of, with respect to everybody, there's always casualties both sides. But I think I'm dealing with interestingly, leaders who have people direct reports from both parts of the world, that's the Ukraine and Russia. And funny enough, the people that are suffering mentally within this organization, obviously I can't mention the name here, because I don't know who's tracking us, but is the companies are supporting those people in Russia itself because of sanctions. So they're still supporting them, but there is a mental concern, the psychological concern is how long can these companies support them for? So there's a lot of uncertainty going on. And the comment made to me was that if they were on the Ukrainian side, they would be able to go and fetch them. So it has interesting impacts, both sides of the fence. The other thing I think that we as entrepreneurs can do is what we do on this tribe, and I've experienced it as recently as this morning, is just reach out, talk to people, communicate with people. We can communicate with people in the Ukraine and Russia. And sometimes that's all we need. You know, this really ties into Explore ProTech, coffee first. We might only be able to have conversations of interest and over a cup of coffee. But even that is great support for entrepreneurs in that part of the world and to entrepreneurs that are maybe being impacted globally by the conflict that's going on there. So I think that stands out strongly for me, is just reach out and talk and support people. And that's exactly what this tribe stands for. So here it's coming to its fore. The other thing, the last thing that I want to mention is I said, you know, often big events create huge opportunity. And I say that with the utmost respect to everybody, is they do. Sometimes we need big events to shake us out of our comfort zone, like the coronavirus, like this conflict that's going on. There's big events happening in the world over the last 3-4 years. And it's shaking us up, and it's actually created a lot of entrepreneurs. So there are positives to this. And then you also realize how dependent we make ourselves on either countries, companies, or people, where there are certain monopolies. And we've got to be careful to make ourselves too dependent on that. It's happened here in South Africa. But that also created opportunity. You know, just take load shedding. Look what's happened to that industry. There are people there's entrepreneurs and businesses that are booming out of it. And it's made us change our thought patterns as business people or entrepreneurs. So I think there's a lot of, one can sit in the curve, in the bottom or the dip of the curve, or one can spend a bit of time there and then move out and really think about what can we do outside of the space that we cannot control. What can we do? And I think my post this morning was about that, about the new certain is uncertainty. But it does create a lot of opportunity. And you can refer back to that famous bell curve. You know, are you an early adopter, or are you part of the general mass in the middle? And or do you just get left behind? So yeah, I think it's very sad what's going on, but it's nothing. We need to do what we can about it, and that's reach out to each other, see what we can do, think differently, and support each other as entrepreneurs globally.
Yeah, I actually really like that. Sometimes I just feel like the bell, like I can't see the curve.
You're just the bell.
I'm just the bell.
Guys, we've been having so much fun just talking to each other. We've forgotten to do the name thing.
Oh, yes.
Stephen leaving.
Anyway, Stephen from Dare to Be, Coaching and Beyond.
Awesome.
And everyone else, Renee Bracer from Craft Digital.
Design.
Design.
Craft Digital Design.
And Stephen Westwood from SPW Copywriting, and Chris Colby from Live to Dream. Awesome. Okay, Deanne, let's go over to you. Remember to do the name thing. I can't wait to hear your insight on this fascinating topic.
Fascinating topic. Deanne Duffin, Inspired Solutions Consulting. And I think it's so interesting how all of these themes resonate internationally, because there's people on this coffee shop from all over the world, and the shakeup that continues in a different way that started a couple of years ago is really creating opportunities for innovation, creative solutions, and definitely collaboration and partnerships are so necessary for that. When I'm talking to businesses of all different sizes, the most common concern they're voicing to me is it being increasingly difficult to access money, whether it's for a project that is worth multi-millions or a few $100,000 for a startup. Investors are more cautious. And so for larger companies, they're seeing longer times and more documentation required to get investment. And smaller companies are being asked to really verify the market demand for their products by showing they have revenue, and that investors buying ideas without huge amounts of proof that their investment is safe is increasing. And even the banks are more risk averse, and larger companies are telling me that even with considerable revenue, considerable assets, they're having harder time than ever getting access to money. And smaller or mid-sized companies are telling me that it's hard to get increases to their operating line to pay their vendors, even if they have a big customer purchase order in hand. And so all of these companies are having to work together in different ways that they didn't have to before in order to figure out how do they keep the supply chain moving without waiting for influxes of cash along the way. They need to work together, vendors and customers, and figure out creative solutions and get super clear about they're all part of one customer journey, and how can they help the customer get what they need all along the phases, again, by working together without injections they've been used to in the past.
That is so interesting, Deanne. And I mean, it's certainly what we've actually been seeing in the industry.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs banding together, kind of creating closed economies. So, you know, we're like, the government should do whatever it wants to do. But we're kind of like creating that future for ourselves through the connections we're building.
Yeah, no, I think that, I mean, different countries work in different ways, and but red tape is red tape. I mean, sometimes the process is just so slow. The fortunate thing is that us as entrepreneurs, well, we don't have to be slow. We can turn on a dime. We can turn a car around in an alley. You know, it's one of those things. We want to change direction, we just do. We want different support, we just find. You know, so, you know, I think that this is where the answer is that we need to be creating solutions for ourselves. But in order to do that, we need to stick together to do that. I may have the skills that I have, but in order to create something, I might need Stephen Levy's skills.
You
I
always
definitely
need Renee.
Renee's skills. I'm talking to him all the time. You know, Darlene. I mean, I want to be safe in what I do. I need Darlene's skills. You know, there's so many different skills on the screen that if we stick together, we can then now create something that is bigger than ourselves as just one entrepreneur. Now we become a force to be reckoned with, and we can do what we need to do. Hence the fact that we do networking with loads of people from around the world. And these are the relationships that form.
There's so much safety in this space, right? It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Permelia.
Hello, everyone. Permelia Param. My company is Vibrational Healing. I am a certified body code and emotion code practitioner. So when you get all stressed out, you can come to me. I'll help release those unprocessed negative or trapped emotions that could be stuck in your subconscious. So I have a couple of things to say, to share. I live on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, the west coast of Canada. And about a year ago, when we were still into the COVID, I'm part of our local Chamber of Commerce. And to help with the deliveries of what needed to be at least up and down the island, because a lot of deliveries were being stopped, the chamber actually created a company to help people, all entrepreneurs, deliver their products up and down the island and even over to the mainland. So that was a really amazing initiative. I thought, wow, that's very, very cool. The other thing I have, if somebody can explain economically why my gas is $2.15 a liter. Yes, Deanne, I'm sure yours is not quite that high in Alberta. We have oil and gas. And so I don't know why, other than it's a good excuse to raise the prices. So if anybody has an insight on that, I'd love to know. The other thing is we have wheat. Why cannot we send wheat to the rest of the world? I'm sure, it would cost a little bit more than getting wheat from the Ukraine down to South Africa, but that's one of our major pieces is exports is wheat. So, maybe some of the people that are a little closer to the governments that can say, hey, Canada has wheat. You might want to knock on their door and see what's available. The other thing is, because our gas prices are so high, and now we are more out into the world and seeing people networking, actually doing some networking in person in our Chamber of Commerce meetings and dinner meetings are now in person. So we're carpooling. We're just helping each other, so we don't have to spend as much gas as we normally would. So it's just so important for us to, as everybody else has said, we really need to collaborate. We really, really need to be with each other. And I just love this whole platform, because not only can we assist each other locally, but we can assist each other globally. So thank you again to Nastine and Peter for creating such a fantastic way for us to communicate, and everybody who's a member. Thank you. Pamelia Parham, Vibrational Healing.
Absolutely epic to have you on the show, as always, for media.
I would love to do carpooling, but I don't have any friends, so I just end up walking.
Okay. On that bright spark note, that's your contribution to this conversation. Hey?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need more friends.
Let's go to Brian. Brian, will you be our friend?
Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Nicastro. I'm a business called Domestic Athlete and a holistic lifestyle coach and Reiki master. Because we can't, it's great that we can't talk politically, because I don't really follow a lot of politics other than if it's on Instagram. So, but I'm very much in the mental and emotional and spiritual health space. So some of it has been mentioned already. One thing I can share, because I've experienced this myself, was we want to be mindful and educated and be in the know of what's going on in the world. But I do also recommend go as deep as you can handle, not any further than that, because you could lose your mind in this stuff. And the things that the no matter what's, I call them, the no matter what's, like no matter what, you got to put food on the table, no matter what, your business has to thrive. So in order to handle the things that you need to have handled to be a massive contribution to even your own community, you can't get sucked into things mentally and emotionally that you have zero control over. And in the beginning of COVID, I went through that, and I had to I needed help from friends and my community to sort of redirect my focus back into my business and stuff. So handle what you have control over, because the more we're thriving anyways, the more we can contribute down the road, right? Also exploring, being flexible and exploring the other options. When I was in college, I painted full time. Now I'm starting to think about, like, if I really had to, like, get back into, you know, like other skills or whatever it is, like what else would I contribute if the zombies were coming and we had to like come together and and do something, like how do I contribute? Because there's an empowering feeling knowing that you have other skills other than what you're working on right now today. So and a lot of this has really been nurtured through conversations like this, and staying in connection with the people in your community and tribe that can keep your head screwed on, so you're still doing your part. So that's all I think I could share from the space that I come from every day. So but yeah, I hope it resonates. Brian DeCastro, domestic athlete.
Awesome.
That was epic, Brian. I mean, I don't really make time to follow the news, okay? Sometimes I watch The Daily Show.
With Trevor Noah.
But with this thing, like, I had to do some research, right? Because I had to I still don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but
Well, no, actually, here's the thing, right? When you watch the news, and because there's so much politics involved from this country, that country, this politics, that story.
It's so depressing.
It's not only depressing, it's confusing. And it gets to the point where you actually can't tell what the real truth was to begin with, because it gets spun from so many different aspects. So, which is why we stay out of the politics. We are here to create unity. We're here to create solutions.
A better world.
And from what I'm seeing with the people in this space, skills development. I mean, if we can create a space where people that are struggling and are suffering, there are so many skills here. I mean, skills development is highly important. And it's the one thing that can take somebody from, I don't have a skill and I can't put food on my table, to I have a skill, I can implement it, and now I can put food on my table. So even just that it's one of the directions we should be going in. Is skills development.
Yeah, definitely. On that note, let's move to Peter, other Peter.
Number two.
Peter, let's hear from you.
Everyone.
This is your debut on the coffee shop, right?
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, okay. Fantastic, love it.
Welcome, Peter. Let's hear it.
Thank you. Right, just stay purely professional here, no politics, no nonsense. We are talking business, so from purely this perspective, whenever there's disruption, there's shortage. Shortage creates a void, and that void creates an opportunity at the same time. So whatever it is, yes, it's terrible what's happening, but imagine like you've created something, you put, I don't know, pieces of a domino or puzzle on a table, then you lifted the table and thrown all the pieces of a puzzle into the air. While they can go up, they have to come down. So eventually all of them are going to land. It's never going to be the same thing, but eventually something new is going to be created. That void, that shortage is going to be filled. And maybe we can conclude that it is even a good thing, because that kind of a shock, yes, while it's terrible on a human level, from the business and opportunity perspective, there is no greater opportunity than having everything destroyed. Like status quo has been just left the building. Yeah, literally, there's no status quo anymore. Everything has to be built from scratch, literally. And that's the moment when simply a great evolution can happen, where simply massive leaps can be done into the future. For example, take a look at Africa as a continent. While, yes, a great place, it's been lagging behind the developed world for a long time. Well, guess what happens? When the opportunity came, when the window of opportunity has been opened, suddenly all of the latest technology has been deployed. people have been exposed to the newest tech, to newest devices, to the latest things, and rather than going through the process of going from the radio to the landline, from the landline to the early versions of mobile phones, they literally made a leap over the several generations of technology and suddenly got the newest, latest stuff. So I believe this is a great opportunity. Yes, the suffering makes it really, really difficult to swallow, but there's going to be a massive progress happening when this is over, and everyone would be surprised how this country is going to come back from the ashes and will be one of the leaders in many different fields. Because what we have seen and witnessed, every single one of us, is that while all of those terrible things were coming their way, Ukrainians haven't run away. They stood their ground. They defended everything they had, because it wasn't about the physical things. It was about the very essence of being. And you cannot turn forward-looking people backwards by any means out there. So simply, that's the nature of people who will carry this forward. And there's great opportunities. There's this potential, which is now being seen working its magic in the means of war. When this is going to be over, that potential is going to be redirected elsewhere, to business, to personal development, and these people will become amazing teachers to others for generations to come, and they will inspire a lot more people out there around the world than they can even think of possible.
100%.
That is Peter Russell from Peter Russell Consulting.
Ta-da!
Thank you so much, Peter. That was amazing. It's so interesting to listen to all of you. Risk and opportunity are two sides of the same coin, right? And that's basically the essence of what you've just reminded us. And it just gave me so much hope, you know, a lot of hope. So, and I also think entrepreneurs are the best type of resilient, innovative thinkers to push this forward into the opportunity.
Well, here's the thing. We know that, okay, yes, there is a conflict, and yes, it is causing damage, and yes, things are going wrong, but when the conflict comes to that end, that it'll rise up out the ashes and it'll start to create and build and construct and become something bigger than it was before. The question is, how do we as entrepreneurs from around the world get involved in that?
Yeah.
How do we support that? Because that's what we need to be doing. We need to know that that time is coming, and how are we going to get in there?
Well, Peter will tell us. Not you,
oh,
that
other
Peter.
one. Sorry, I escaped that one. Okay.
So, Peter, when the time's right for getting involved in this massive opportunity, you're going to just pop onto the show and tell us, okay?
Absolutely, I promise.
Awesome. Awesome.
Awesome. 1,500 people just saw you make that promise. Okay. Natalie, you're up next. Let's hear that. And I also still want to hear from Nicolina as well, because she also had her heart up. So let's hear it. Yeah, Natalie.
Hi, thanks, Christine. So yeah, it's Natalie from the Virtual Assistant Business Club in Eastern Cape in sunny South Africa. And I run another networking group in sort of conjunction with Peter and Estine and various other networking groups. But just my thoughts on a positive note, I mean, pretty much along the lines of what everybody else had said, is that if we look back at the whole recession in 2008, sure, we didn't have a pending or looming war hanging over us, but there were a lot of companies that were birthed out of that. And just off the top of my head that I can think of, Whatsup was one of them, Uber came about, Instagram, I mean, they all sort of rolled out 2008, 2009, 2000, Calendly. Those kind of companies all were birthed out of that 2008 recession. So a bit like what Peter said as well, there's a lot of opportunity in all of this, as much as it's heart-wrenching to watch. And being a woman, of course, we all feel it's just really, really tough. And I salute the Ukrainians. I have to say that, and we'll move on. I think they're incredible. They stood their ground, and it's incredible how they've done this. But again, it's just to say that there is a lot of opportunity. But the biggest thing in all of this is that we have to collaborate and get alongside one another. And I see more and more and more of that on social media platforms where people are talking about, let's be kind, let's work together, let's think, before you shoot from the hip. Let's, think about where those people are in their positions. And yeah, again, a lot of you would know, a lot of us on the African continent, our lives are very different to the first world. And we have all sorts of other dynamics which you've just got to work with. When you're talking about this whole solar thing globally going the way it's going to go, for us on this continent, it's a given. And we've got to just kind of move on and get into the whole solar thing and get on with it. There's no sort of time to waste. And that's having me lived in Zambia for 11 years and done exactly that. You can't just keep talking about there's no power or there's load shedding. We just got to get on with it and make it happen and sort it out. Business has got to go on, and that's it from my side. But just to emphasize the mental well-being thing, and I said it in the chat earlier on. I see a lot of it on all the social media platforms. People are struggling. They're struggling to hold it all together, and as if we can just be a support to one another in whatever way possible. I really want to encourage that. But I think there's a lot of opportunity. And lastly, just to wrap up on my thoughts, is that for me the whole situation that we found ourselves in is that we've got to find multiple income streams, not just have one income stream. So if one goes down for whatever reason, you've got two or three sort of that you're juggling kind of thing to keep the money coming in. So that's been the big thing for me as a looming burn, I don't know what I call it, like birthing entrepreneur in this sort of spectrum. I hope that all makes sense. So thanks very much, Nestine and Peter, for an amazing platform and all your team that puts this together. It's incredible. Really want to thank you for that. And to the people that I've met through it, you've been amazing. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalie. And what awesome, insightful comments from your side. Absolutely adore it. Before we wrap up, let's go to Nicolene. Nicolene, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you for the opportunity. And I'm new here, so I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet. And I'm 2 minutes away from load shedding, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm Nicolene from Skuman Law Incorporated, from Contracts for Biz and Pocket Advisor in Cape Town. I think as lawyers, there are two things I wanted to add to all the very valid commentary that we've seen in the session. Thank you for that. Firstly, is I think we need to be mindful of what our clients may be going through from a financial point of view, for you to connect with them on a regular basis, to adjust your payment terms, to adjust the terms of service, and not to be stagnant in how you engage with your clients from a legal point of view. And secondly, I think I agree, collaboration is key. Collaboration across industries, across different revenue streams, and to contract that properly and to be flexible. I'm not saying to be vague, just to be clear as a lawyer, but to be flexible and to revisit your terms maybe more often than we would have. We would have revisited every 6 months or 12 months. Now we need to do it more regularly. So that's my 2 cents worth from a very cold and a bit of a wet Cape Town and soon to be dark.
Thank you so much, Nicolene. And that's Nicolene Skuman Law from Skuman's Law. Am I right, Nicolene?
Yes, Skuman Law and Contracts for Biz and Pocket Advisor.
Amazing. Guys, if you like Nicolene or any of the other beautiful humans that you've seen on the coffee shop today, if you resonated with any of them, if you want to have a chat, they're some of the best entrepreneurs in the world, and we're putting their LinkedIn links in the description down below. All you have to do is click, 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 click. Guys, this is like a year and a half of work, okay?
Well,
like getting these people onto the show.
Let's make it easy for them, okay? Because the audience might not know after this conversation exactly what these people do. So if we had to put Renee Bresser in a nutshell, web development of note, Ladies and gentlemen, you can't go wrong. He does everything of mine and multiple other people within this space. Darlene, you have to announce this.
The Oprah Winfrey of scam prevention.
Natalie Rhodes, Pomegranate Networking. You want to pop in and go visit. Go visit. Stephen Westwood, I don't know if we need to keep you busier than what you are.
He doesn't need more clients, guys. Like
He just doesn't need more clients. He's just that busy.
He's one of the best
One of the
copywriters and coaches in the world.
Absolutely phenomenal. Stephen Levy.
The best business coach you'll ever have.
You can't go wrong. One of the best. Chris Colby. Oh, sorry, Chris. What did you say you did again? Just repeat it back to me.
Lead generation through networking.
Oh, okay. Lead generation through networking. Interesting. Okay, it's making a lot of sense now. Tanya, yourself, what is it that you do?
She's an accountant.
Another one.
Yep.
Yeah, but my specialty is internal audit.
Wow. Okay.
So process analysis, process risk assessment. That's actually something I wanted to say. In the past, when you did a risk assessment for a client, the threat of war was like remote. You never really thought anything like that would happen. And now it's become a reality. The threat of a pandemic was something remote, and now it's all risks that have realized. So I think people must be much more alert when they do a risk assessment to these things, because it's no longer a remote possibility. It's actually something that is happening around the world. But this was great.
It challenges risk committees around the world. She's speaking my language. Now it's going to last for 2 hours. Well done.
No.
Deanne Duffin, builder of businesses and teams.
Wait, did we get that right?
We did. Yes.
Yes, we got that right.
And Peter Russell, one of the best business builders in the world, made his first million in the first 10 months of doing business. Right,
so
Peter?
If you're not doing it his way, you're doing it the wrong way.
Probably. Is that everyone? Did we miss someone?
Pamelia?
Did we get Pamelia?
No, we didn't get to Pamelia.
Pamelia, the vibrational healer that you need by your side. If you're going through a tough time, or if you just want to open up your emotional energy.
Well, I mean, think about it. If you're not looking after yourself, then what suffers? You and your business.
Everything.
So
I think we got everybody.
Yeah, so if you're in the audience and these are the people that you need to talk to, because these are the people that you need to involve in your business. It's as simple as that.
You just can, now you can just like click.
There are links are in the description. Click on the link.
It took us a year and a half to convince them to talk to us.
And you can talk to them in 5 minutes because you can just click on the link.
You're welcome. Okay. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I know we're running short on time. All of you have been absolutely amazing. This has been one of the best episodes to date. For me, like, I have learned so much from all of you, and I feel inspired and hopeful and ready to move on from here. So, guys, if you enjoyed this, please remember to connect with our guests. They're the people that make this possible. Go and click in the description below. Also, subscribe to our channel, comment, and share. Let's see how many people around the world we can inspire with us to tackle this yet another crisis. Nothing will get us entrepreneurs down, right?
Bring on the crisis. We can take it.
I take that back.
Can take it.
You're going to jinx it. Yes, Mr.
You can say something about Christine and Peter, that they the co-founders of Explore Protec, and what they do, or they have set a platform and they're the greatest connectors in the world. So that's what they do.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Levy. You're amazing. Guys,
I just got to make more friends and learn to carpool.
Yes. On that note, guys, if you want to come back for more next week, we would love to have you every single week without fail. We bring this show to you. 1 hour of pure connection, learning, experience, sharing. This is entrepreneurship done right, guys.
If you have questions, anything to do with entrepreneurship, something that you're battling with,
pop them in the comments.
Pop it in the comments.
We'd love to chat to you.
And we'll talk about it.
Awesome. Guys, this has been absolutely amazing. Hope to see you again next week. Until then, have a beautiful week further, and may all your wildest entrepreneurial dreams come true.